Cambodia is one of the countries that located in Southeast Asia. It is 181 and 35 square kilometers in area, bordered by Thailand, Laos, and Vietnam. Marriages were not arranged by the young people but their parents and relatives. Suddenly, the trend went down in 1975. Most of the people were hiding from the Khmer Rouge army, and the people who got caught by the Khmer Rouge army were forced to be the unpaid agricultural labor until 1979. And the crude birth rate had reached the peak around 1985, and the cause of the increase was to replace the loss of the families and populations. Meanwhile, the family planning program had still not been implemented as of 1989. However, due to the advance in agriculture, the economy started to rise, and more than half of the married women prefer not to have a baby. In 1975, Pol Pot, the leader of Khmer Rouge forces, had defeated Long Na army while the majority of the citizens were on the way to escape. Many urban people were unable to survive in the countryside, in which most of them had died under hunger, disease, and exposure. Buddhists and monks and ethnic minorities were mostly executed by the army. From 1977, the second wave of the victims associated with the executions by the Khmer Rouge army may have reached about 1 million. The total death range of people who had died under this genocide event were estimated 1 to 3 million, which is a quarter of Cambodia's population from 1975 to 1979. The death rate started to decline as the Khmer Rouge army was defeated by the Vietnamese troops and the advance in medication. In 1960, only 10% of the developing countries had conducted family planning. The reason that the fertility rate went down in 1975 is due to the same event that I mentioned earlier. Many people were unable to have extra time of having babies as they struggle how to survive in the wild and being hidden from the Red Army. However, the trend went up around 1980 to 1985. This is because people rapidly reproduced to replace the loss of the population until the 1990s. Since the family planning programs had slowly been accepted by the people, the fertility rate began to decline, in which about 13% of married women in Cambodia implemented family planning in 1995, and it reached 24% in year 2000. Additionally, about 19% of the married women had chosen modern methods such as pill, female sterilizations, and injectables. 5% of the married women used the traditional methods. About 48% of married women refused to have babies. 28% remained undecided. 22% of the women preferred to have another babies within the next 2 years, and 2% of the women wanted, but the timing was uncertain. However, this also caused the contraceptive use increase from 24% to 56%. In 1985, a program called RHINE was established for the children who were below the age of 5 and suffer from disease. There were 10 centers in the capital city and 9 were separated in different provinces. The vaccination rate in the capital had reached 80%, while the coverage in the provinces only at the range of 60%. However, by the end of 2015 in Cambodia, the vaccination rate for children had reached 79% due to the increase in agriculture and economy. The conflict with the French colonies led to the decrease in life expectancy around 1953. The decline of life expectancy around 1975 to 1980 is due to the Cambodian genocide event. However, the life expectancy increased during 1979 and 1980, and this is because the majority of the hospitals and medical teams in Cambodia were mostly from both Western and Eastern Bloc countries. Meanwhile, the medicines and drugs were also imported from Western countries, which increased the medication level. By 2020, The average life expectancy of Cambodia's total population is 70.5 years, in which male is 68.2 years and for female is 72.7 years. The total dependency ratio of Cambodia's population is 55.7, which includes 48.2 of the young dependency and 7.6 of elderly dependency. There was also 13.2 potential support ratio as well. In year 2000, the number of children who died before reaching the age of 1 was 95 in 1,000. Until 2015, it has declined to 28 per 1,000. The family planning caused the fertility rate to decrease. In the past 10 years, Cambodia's fertility rate has dropped from 5.4 children per 15 to 49-year-old women to 4 children by the year 2003. As a result, this indicates that if the fertility rate and crew birth rate keep decreasing constantly, this will lead to an aging population in which there will be a high dependency ratio and of elderly and less labor will be on the economy. Despite there being only 20% of the population within the urban areas of Cambodia, Phnom Penh, the largest city of Cambodia with a population density of 5,700 people per square kilometer and a population of 2.2 million, it is also the trading and economic center of this country. Phnom Penh also has a great advantage in topography. The provinces around Phnom Penh, most of the terrain are flat, and its soil is also suitable for farming, which allows people to expand the development of agriculture and such as like rice field. At the same time, the nearby Mekong River also prevented the occurrence of drought. However, this will cause more people wanting to develop in the large cities, leading to overpopulation while leaving the northeast provinces underpopulated. One of the current population policy in Cambodia is the National Policy for the Elderly, which is also known as the National Aging Policy 2017 to 2030. This plan is aimed to develop an ability to achieve a long-term goal of elder care. It aims to expand retirement plans for workers, hire geriatric medical professionals in health centers, and enact stricter laws to prevent abuse of elderly. And free medical services are also considered. The first issue is the aging population leads to the decline in fertility rate while also bringing burden to young people. Older women in Cambodia often rely on their children, especially their sons, to provide support, since they do not have proper administrative registration documents for identity and lands, and not all the elderly in Cambodia can receive the pension fees from the government. As of 2019, the population over 60 years old of more than 1.2 million Cambodians accounted for 7.6% of the country's total population. Since the last census was conducted in 2008, the proportion of elderly has risen by 40% from about 850,000, and it is expected that this proportion will nearly triple in the next few decades. The government could deepen the cooperation with the NGOs or establish a tourist attraction nearby the rural area to increase the local income so that the children are able to attend school instead of helping their parents to work, and it also allows the government to encourage the local people to apply the family planning effectively. The second issue is the fertility rate in rural area has brought economic burdens for the government. Nearly 1/3 of people live under the poverty line among the population of 14.3 million by 2013. The poverty situation in rural areas of Cambodia is even more pronounced. The challenges of insufficient education, healthcare, and nutritious food still exist, and many of the poorest families in the country are struggling to survive. Many children in the rural area supported their family by not attending school. Lack of education makes them harder to get out of poverty, and this cycle will expand through providing more pressure for the government. The government should provide pensions to all workers over the age of 55 years across the country and so reduce the amount of economic pressure on their children. The government should also be encouraged to establish nursing homes, no matter rural or urban area, to guarantee their residents.